The comfort zone can be daunting and challenging. You begin to struggle. Things can then escalate, getting worse and worse, to the point where you ask yourself whether it's worth continuing what you've already started. That's the important thing about the ugly. Not everything starts off how you want it, but the key is how you go about the mistakes, how you go about the struggles. The ugly tests who you are. It is easy to give up while you're down, instead of persisting through the darkness to reach the light. This happened to me as a cricketer. I struggled at the start of the season, constantly failing, where I felt as I was letting the team down by not contributing. I easily could have given up on the season altogether and stopped trying. I don't want to do that. Instead, it gave me the extra drive to work harder and train on my mistakes. That season, I then brought up my high score, even after the constant failure and setbacks. I see that as the power of the ugly. Even after the bad start, you can learn from your mistakes, use them as your success. Most importantly, getting back out there and persisting through the struggles. The same goes with your schoolwork. You might be struggling with your math topic, getting multiple questions wrong on your worksheets, now thinking you're screwed, and admitting defeat but not achieved, where you could be making the same simple error. By asking for help, you can learn from your mistakes and successfully answer the questions to get the excellence grade you were originally after. Just because something doesn't start off the way you want it, doesn't mean it'll finish that way. The whole idea of how I see the ugly, is summed up from a quote from Barack Obama. The real test is not whether you avoid failure, because you won't. It's whether you learn from it, whether you choose to persevere. The ugly is the failure. That's how you decide to get yourself through the tough times. It's a true test of character and is very rewarding when you finish what you originally set out to begin with. Then there's the bad. I see it's very similar to the ugly, but it's separated by one thing: how we go about the bad situation. As both of them don't start off well, but the ugly, you persevere, find a way to reach the end. But the bad is where you give up completely, think it's impossible, and you can't do it. This is the negative mindset, where you accept defeat and give up easily. Giving up after small hiccups would mean you miss out on so many different opportunities, such as if Bill Gates gave up after dropping out of Harvard University, or after his failed business, he never would have created Microsoft and became a self-made billionaire. Or if J.K. Rowling gave up after being rejected by 12 different publishers, she never would have found success in Harry Potter. Not everything is handed to you on a plate. You see certain people's success and think they've had it easy. That's because you've never seen them struggle and face rejection. Failure is always there, so don't let it be the reason to stop working and give up. I've talked a lot about failure, yet there are good experiences, and there's simply no better feeling than everything goes smoothly and exactly how you wanted it. Such as executing a move and working on at training, or getting the excellence grade you worked really hard for. It is such a proud feeling for getting the results for the effort you've put in. The good is simply doing something that's important, something you enjoy. It is important to do something that makes you happy, that you're passionate about, that puts a smile on your face. Getting a balance, it could be as simple as heading out for a round of golf with your mates. Getting a balance in life is important between workload and socialising, to take that pressure away and enjoy what you're doing. I like to finish off by leaving you with something to think about. Challenges and failure are there for a reason. You may fail 7 times, but the real test is to see whether you get up the 8th. Thank you.
I'd like Hunter Crow now to come through. Thank you.
Kia ora everyone, my name is Hunter Crow and I'm looking to be your head boy of 2022. The good, the bad and the ugly, well that's life, isn't it? We all have the good times, the bad times and the ugly times. That's just called the journey of life. I think in 2020 and 2021 this has been highlighted even more. COVID and lockdowns created probably a few more ugly and bad times, and maybe the good times have probably been harder to see. Perhaps even more so for those of us who've been caught in lockdown while others are out. Going through life, everyone has their sights set on controlling their own destiny and influencing their future. But sometimes this isn't the case, as there's always going to be bumps in the road. The times of success and enjoyment is what we live for, as it is these good times that people tell us to savour them because it's not always going to stick around. On the opposite end of the scale are the times where luck quite isn't on our side and reality does become quite tough, to the point where we start to question ourselves about previous choices that we may have made. It is these times where we want the day to end or fortune to change because there's no fun for anyone involved. Both of these types of reality are influenced by our past decisions that enter the coming times, giving us control over our future. But sometimes things happen out of the ordinary to a degree that becomes quite ugly. These circumstances occur when things happen unexpectedly, becoming quite rough, but still managing to see the light at the end of the tunnel, coming out on top of the situation. For me personally, being able to push through these tough scenarios to succeed during these ugly times shows a true test of character. You can accept black and white where times are either really great or completely the opposite, but being able to work out and stay determined for something gives a true taste of success. What I think is crucial about these three circumstances is that we need to accept that's just life in general, but it's how we deal with what is presented to us that defines us. I know myself from sport, especially cricket, that I'm going to have those days where I can't get anything to go my way and I feel deflated. But I know the reason why I play the game. It's the continuity of team culture, the triumph moments and life-lasting relationships which keep me going. I know if I work hard and keep my goals set high, the good times will just be around the corner. The positive future we all look to uphold comes from making the most of our opportunities, because that opportunity might not be there tomorrow. I think a big part of me looking to be head boy next year revolves around trying to make my mark in the school by influencing people to take the vast opportunities that HPC provides. If I could give advice to a junior coming to HPC, it'd be take up these opportunities, give things a go, try something new. This in turn gives you the confidence to take up more opportunities so the cycle of good things begins. Push through your setbacks and strive for excellence, because once you do this, the world is your oyster. In summary, it's okay to have the bad and ugly times. We all have them. But it's how we respond and react to these difficult times which get us back on track and closer to the good times. I will leave you with a quote from Nelson Mandela which I think sums everything up. Don't judge me by my success, judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again. Thank you.
And I'd like to call Sean here.
Ko Sean tuku ingoa, no China o ki tūpuna, ke te noho o ki tennis. 尊敬的校长，各位老师，同学们早上好。Good morning, staff, students, and guests of Haraki Plains College. It's my privilege to be presenting my speech in front of you all today as a candidate for the role of Head Boy 2022. My mum comes from Indonesia and my dad is from Cambodia. Both of my parents have Chinese ancestry, and I was the first in my family's generation to be born here in New Zealand. I've broken far beyond my comfort zone just by standing here to speak in front of you all. Past me knows how terrified I was going to be, and I'm sure the other candidates are no less nervous. So most of you must be asking, why? Why bother waking up at 6:30 this morning when I could be sleeping in, watching TV shows all day, and enjoying my break away from school? In fact, I believe everything in life should start with why. Starting with why gives things meaning. Having a why is what gets people up in the morning. But let's face it, the journey of life is not as simple or as straightforward as we would hope it to be. We're not always in control of what happens around us. Sometimes life can feel harsh or unfair, and situations can turn ugly fast without notice. That's when we start to ask ourselves, why? Why are we doing this? Why should we keep going on? A lot of times, we'll leave or quit if things start to get too hard or too complicated. We don't have a reason to continue. We don't have a why. But when an overarching why develops in our lives, an objective will set our minds on. We start to accept the challenges that we're faced with. We'll work hard to push through with all our strength to reach that end goal, believing that all our sacrifices will be worth it in the end. This is all to do with our purpose, our rangatira, our why. The issue is, even if I do become head student for 2022, I can't help each individual person here find their why. That remains your responsibility, since the person that knows you best is yourself. What I can do instead is offer more opportunities to find your why here at Haraki Plains College. I can become a leader that is responsible and dedicated to my role, that will stay open-minded, kind and respectful, even when put under pressure. I will become a leader that works hard and leads by example. There's a quote told by Simon Sinek, British-American author and inspirational speaker. He says that working hard for something we don't care about is called stress. Working hard for something we love is called passion. I want to turn this school into an environment where students can find that passion and share it with others. A place where students work hard not for validation or because they feel criticized and misunderstood, but to make themselves proud of what they've accomplished and excited for the future that lies ahead of them. I want to see a school where students can thrive and express themselves openly and freely, and where teachers teach, not because it's their job, but because the students are motivated to learn. That's my why, and I hope to help you find yours. Thank you.
Sean, I'd like to call Aidan Craigs.
Ko parakio te maunga, ko hate o te awa. Ko ngā tuki mata whaurua te waka. Ko ngā puhi te iwi, ko te rerenga parawa te marae. Nō whangarea hau, kei mangatongi tuku kainga. Ko Craigs tuku ingoa whānau, ko Aidan tuku ingoa, ti hei mauri ora. I don't believe in magic, I believe in hard work. A quote by one of my most admired sportsmen and leaders, Richie McCaw, sums up the secret of leadership. I will be speaking this morning about leadership and some of my own experience and learnings as a leader. Some good, some bad, and some most definitely ugly. Standing in front of you today is one of my examples of a good leadership experience. For a while, I had doubted that I would have the privilege of standing in front of you today. I wasn't even sure it was worth applying for head student. But with the encouragement of some of my role models, I decided to give it a go. Regardless of the outcome, it is encouraging to have my leadership skills acknowledged by the school and the opportunity to be challenged outside of my comfort zone. The leadership lesson I have learned from this is that sometimes you need to take risks and put yourself out there in order to grow. With the good will sometimes come the bad leadership experiences. Following on from being named first 15 captain this year, we suffered one of the low points of our team's season. After coming agonisingly close to winning our semi-final, but falling short, I had to put aside my own disappointment and remain positive to help build up the other team who were gutted at the loss. I had to give a speech, be gracious in defeat, and congratulate our opponents on their win. But I found that by remaining positive and uplifting my fellow team members, I was able to quickly overcome my own disappointment. My second leadership lesson is that during the bad times, put others first, and most likely things will work out for the best. But after the good and the bad, the ugly follows. I think we have all struggled in recent times with facing COVID-19 and the country's lockdowns. For me, personally, I really struggled with finding motivation during the early lockdowns. I found it hard to get into a routine, and my schoolwork, fitness, and well-being suffered. I was stuck in a rut and didn't know how to get out of it. Earlier this year, I was able to reassess my goals, and when later lockdowns happened, I was able to set myself a routine to get out of bed, exercise, and complete schoolwork. As a result, I've been able to achieve better grades and reach a higher level of fitness to help me reach my sporting goals. The leadership lesson I've learned from this is that to get through tough times and reach your goals, you will need to push through and work hard, and also to focus on the little things in order to move forward. These are some of my many experiences that have helped me to learn about leadership. I'm thankful to Hauraki Plains College for the many opportunities I've had, the good, the bad, and the ugly. The following whakatauki sums up what the type of leader I would like to be. Whaia te iti kahurangi, ki te tuoho koe, me he maunga teitei. Seek the treasure you value most dearly. If you bow your head, let it be to a lofty mountain. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
Well done, Aidan. I'd now like to call Ron Watson.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Good morning. My name is Rowan, and I'll be telling you all my thoughts about the good, the bad, and the ugly. I hope this speech helps you to reflect on your life and how you can make the most of your future. The good in life is obvious: completing important goals, doing the things you love, spending time with friends and family. Society tells us success is what is good. Success in school, work, and in our community. However, success is worth nothing unless it is accompanied by happiness for yourself and for others. John Lennon wrote, "Life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans." This means don't get so caught up in the idea of success that you forget to appreciate the experiences around you. You should have a goal, but you must not forget. Let yourself enjoy the small moments and the relationships and memories you build along the way. Keep your eye on the goal, but make sure it's what you want for your future, one that will influence your own life and the lives of others in a positive way. That is what is good in life. Now let's talk about the bad. Bad things happen and are just a part of being alive. Failing an assessment or getting a consequence are bad situations that are in our control. Perhaps if we had studied harder or paid more attention in class, they wouldn't have happened. When these bad things occur, it's okay to admit that we were at fault, as this can help us recognize what led to the circumstances and take action to prevent it from happening again. But there are bad things that happen which are out of our control, such as the COVID pandemic or losing a loved one. The only thing within our control in these situations is how we react. It's okay to be upset and grieve, as this is a normal part of managing the bad. However, it is critical not to ignore the issue, and remember, it's okay to ask for help. Working through the bad things with people that we trust is how we grow. When things get bad, don't stay alone. Now let's talk about the ugly. I think the ugly in life is often confused with the bad, but in my opinion, it's actually quite different. Someone might think, wow, that haircut is ugly, or wow, that dance was ugly, but that's only a perspective. When someone thinks one thing is ugly, someone else thinks it's beautiful. If something makes you happy, even if other people think it's ugly, the only thing that matters is the beauty that you see. It's important not to let the things people say bring you down. If you truly believe in your passion, that's all that counts. Don't let anyone tell you what you are doing or who you are is ugly.
It's our uniqueness that allows us to stand out. Now let's wrap it up. Understanding these three concepts of good, bad, and ugly help us improve our outlook on life. Try new things to learn what makes you happy, then pursue it while helping others. That's the secret to a good life. When bad things happen, turn to your friends and whānau to help you get through. If someone says what you are pursuing is ugly, remember, if it makes you happy and is something you truly believe in, what they say doesn't matter. Thank you.
Well done, Ryan. If you'd all like to just stand up for a moment and just have a bit of a wiggle, because we've still got 5 lovely ladies to do these speeches, and put a bit of a stretch. When you're ready, Scott. Okay, I think the guys have done a fantastic job with their speeches. I think we need to give them a huge round of applause. With no further ado, I'd like to announce Neve Hill to come to this podium.
Kia ora. My name is Neve and I wish to be a head girl for 2022. I was born in England but moved to New Zealand at a very young age. We began our Kiwi initiation in Auckland before we were lucky enough to visit and soon settle in the Hauraki area. I started school at St Joseph's in Waihi and then moved on to Waihi College in Year 8 and decided it just wasn't for me. My dad had a few friends with children here at HPC and they told him what a great school it was. Immediately we booked in for a visit, and as soon as we stepped in the school, I knew I would love it. I started here in Year 10 and have made great lifelong friends since then, and I am proud to call this my school. The topic given to us today was the good, the bad, and the ugly. So what does this mean to me? Well, the most obvious choice I could think of was the COVID pandemic. When we first saw what was happening around the world, COVID was scary, but it also wasn't real. It was happening elsewhere, on the TV. When COVID arrived in New Zealand and we went into lockdown for the first time, although we were aware of the bigger issues, it also gave us time to relax and slow down. Going into Year 11 and 12, the start of NCE exams was a stressful thought for me. The lockdown couldn't have come at a better time. I could catch up on my sleep, study, complete hard projects and just chill out a bit. I'm sure a lot of you were thinking the same, with an emphasis on the sleeping part. Because of these last 2 years, I thought what better way to express the good, the bad and the ugly than through how Jacinda has led our country during this time. I'll start with the good. Going into 2020, Jacinda made a great impression on New Zealanders and the rest of the world by shutting everything down quickly and effectively. We needed to eliminate COVID from our communities. Jacinda and the team of experts around her showed great leadership by thinking how the virus could affect people and how they could best shut it down before it took hold. New Zealanders had a long time without COVID in our communities, and while the rest of the world was struggling to control infection rates, we have lived a fairly normal life. Jacinda has had a tough run as Prime Minister, to say the least. She's faced heavy criticism from every angle and in everything she does, but even with all of this, she has worked through it. This is why I believe Jacinda has shown great leadership. I definitely don't agree with everything she says, but I have to admire her resilience, a quality all leaders should have. The bad. 2021 has been particularly difficult as COVID got into the communities in New Zealand and the country was shut down and many people are still waiting for it to open up again. We've been split up from our friends, with some being in lockdown while others of us went to school. Eventually there came a point where compromise was needed from Jacinda, and this seemed to come very late, and Auckland is still waiting for it. The ugly. How Jacinda and the government have dealt with COVID has divided people. Leadership sometimes means that you can't please everyone. The ugly side of this pandemic has become apparent to me personally, and I've seen great people who are passionate about their jobs and their communities leave roles because of this. These include teachers, police officers and nurses all leaving their jobs, and we are losing the skills and passions that these people hold. The recent confusing traffic light system and the need for vaccine passports have made life difficult for lots of people. As a leader, these ugly choices can be necessary and make me reflect on consequences of leadership in the real world. You'll never be a perfect leader. Someone will always disagree and there will always be backlash. World leaders have so much pressure on their shoulders. Of course not everyone is going to agree to the same things. Leadership is about listening to others, focusing on the good, making compromises but also staying true to our values. For all of us in this room, these are our RMK values: rangatiratanga, manaakitanga and kaitiakitanga. Head girl isn't the easiest job, and going into this I understand. Not everyone is going to be pleased with everything the leadership team is going to say and do, but our job as leaders is to overcome this and do what we believe is best. As long as we can stay true to our RMK values, not get caught up on the bad or ugly, and do what's best for our school as a whole, things will always come out the best they can. It means accepting the good, the bad, and the ugly. Thank you.
I'd now like to call Anna to the podium. Thank you.
In translation, Tangaloa Atua, God, higher being, be present in this space. Guide and lead us as I stand before you. I call on my ancestors to be with me today. To the Board of Trustees, Principal, staff and students of Hauraki Plains College. My name is Ana Whenau Tukuitonga, but most of you know me as Ana. I come from a small place in the South Pacific called Niue. I'm a third-generation migrant to this country, where my ancestors migrated for better opportunities. The land of the long white cloud, the land of milk and honey. Welcome to the day in the life of Ana. The hero in this story today is my nana. Her name is Ivo Tukuitonga, and she is 70 years old. To me, she is simply my popcorn. My nan taught English as a second language at Niue High School, Niue Primary School, and was the only teacher who taught the special needs unit at the Niue High School before she retired to move to New Zealand. My nan worked in the education sector for over 20 years. She also raised 6 children on her own after losing her husband to the ocean in 1987. Her journey was met with many challenges, but moving to New Zealand permanently was the hardest decision she had to make, although her children lived in New Zealand at the time. My nan was a very independent woman. She was highly intelligent and well respected in her community. Nan was caring, loved her grandchildren, and had a mind of her own. She was religious, practiced her faith on a daily basis, and wanted her children to model good values in life. In 2006, my nan relocated from Niue to live in New Zealand due to her health. Prior to moving, my nan lived on her own and looked after her own affairs. During this time, she helped care for me, whilst my mother returned to university to complete her degree. At the time, we were living in Hamilton. According to my family, I was the lucky child who had the opportunity to spend time with Nana during her retirement and got the best of it. Over time, I established a very special bond with my Nana. We were very close. The first 5 years of my life involved walking me to school, after school stops at the shop, bus rides to town, ponytail hairdos, colourful stockings, funny looking dresses with gumboots, and learning the newer language. Every Sunday involved family time, prayer sessions, and Sunday school, where I had the opportunity to learn old songs of Home Sweet Home led by my Nana. To us grandchildren, she was a God-fearing woman. You would know if you were in trouble when she yelled at you and gave you the scary island look. In 2011, we relocated from the city to live in Pairo for my mum's work. We left our family in the city and moved in a small little community. In 2015, my Nana was diagnosed with dementia. According to the Ministry of Health, dementia is a term used to describe symptoms that occur when there is a decline in brain function. This may include problems with memory, thinking, behaviour, and the ability to perform daily tasks. Over the course of my life, I have seen Nana at her best. 2015 soon became the turning point. My Nan's illness walked in the front door, made itself comfortable in our lounge, and never left. Like that annoying family member you love, but hate at the same time. Lol. On a good day, my Nan remembers my name. On a bad, my Nan can be aggressive and say quite nasty things. Very often, she gives me a confused, I don't know who you are look, or she is constantly packing to leave to return home to her grandparents. Watching my Nan lose the ability to make her own decisions has been a real eye-opener. From being an independent woman to needing people to do things for her is hard. My Nan forgets to take her medicine, forgets names and places of significance to us. She is often losing or misplacing things and even takes my things and hides it. Every day is different with Nana. Some days are emotionally draining and others are rewarding. Learning to adapt to change on a daily basis has been really hard. The bad is seeing my Nan deteriorate daily. Learning to prioritise and balance care for Nan while supporting Mum to ensure we can function as a household has also been a real challenge. When I started college, my Nana started attending daycare at Ohana Midwest Home in Pairo. As a family, we struggled to come to terms with this, as this was something we were not culturally accustomed to. As Polynesians, we care for our own. Therefore, we found it hard to send Nana to daycare daily. However, Mum had to go to work to pay the bills and I had to go to school. We also struggled to come to terms with Nana's diagnosis. The term dementia and the behaviours associated with it meant she was unwell, different, or away with the fairies, or as some may say, crazy. We also found a sense of judgment in public spaces, as my Nan's behaviour often would have people look at us oddly. However, over time we learnt about other families in our communities who are on the same journey with their loved ones. This helped me come to terms with Nana's illness. In December 2019, I travelled overseas on a school exchange trip to Europe. I spent 3 months away from home. In March 2020, amongst the coronavirus pandemic, I returned to New Zealand. Borders were closing all over the world as I made the hike back to Aotearoa. I knew at the time there's a high chance my Nana wouldn't remember me, but to experience firsthand her deterioration daily was difficult. During New Zealand's first lockdown, I struggled to transition back to New Zealand life, Nana's illness, and managing school learning from home. I missed the first couple of weeks of school, therefore I needed to play catch-up in Term 1 and Term 2. The last 2 years have seen my Nana's illness change the dynamics of my family. Strain in relationships causing conflict between my mum and her siblings. I have often found myself stuck in this space because I was made to feel as if it was my responsibility to look after Nana, given I was the one that spent most of the time with her. As a family, we struggled to agree on the best method of care for Nana, and this became the ugly for us. Through it all, we survived lockdown and Nana still continues to live with Mum and I. My popcorn, the vivacious, carefree and independent woman she once was, can no longer prepare and cook her own meals or do things on her own. Nan now requires us to help her with most of her care. COVID-19 and the return of lockdown has seen a further decline in my Nana's health. The last 6 months, my Nan has not been able to go to daycare activities. Nan has not seen her children in Auckland and Hamilton, and isolation from family has become the new norm for us. Mum and I have not been able to get respite support. On a daily basis, Nana is packing to leave as she believes she is going home. Sundowning has set in, and Nan is now in the middle stages of her illness. The 2021 school year has seen me struggle to manage NCEA Level 2, music commitments and school attendance. My Nan no longer knows who I am. My Nan is now starting to be aggressive and once or twice has become physical with me. Through my grandmother's eyes, overnight, I have become her caregiver and a stranger to her. The only connection we have is when we sing classic New Year songs where I see a glimpse of my old Nana, a simple, rare moment in time. As I share this journey with you all, through the eyes of a 17-year-old girl, I'm reminded of the year we've had. Living through COVID-19, the good, the bad, and the ugly. To date, all these experiences have taught me a lesson that I will take with me as I journey on to adulthood. Many of you will have your own stories to tell. Remember, this is only a moment. Take the lessons and live for each day and every moment. I am grateful for all the lessons 2021 has taught me, and I am grateful for the good, the bad, and the ugly, for it has helped me get through some of the hardest days of 2021. In the words of Nelson Mandela, I leave with you, everyone can rise above their circumstances and achieve success if they are dedicated to and passionate about what they do. Whakaua lahi mahaki.
Tēnā tātou, ko Ānia tuku ingoa, ki te taha o tuku mama no kawhia aho, ki te taha o tuku papa no reri ahu aho, I tuku nei whakaaro. What can you learn from your journey? Everything I do and every opportunity I take in school and in life is a journey. These journeys could be small, like learning a new skill, or they could be bigger, like becoming year 13. There are good things, bad things, and ugly things that come with each journey, but the lessons that we learn during each one are what help us grow in life. Whenever I'm looking at a new opportunity or challenge, I always ask myself, where will this journey take me? What can I learn from this journey? There are always good parts to every journey. The feeling of accomplishment when you are finally able to execute that move you've been practicing. When you complete an assessment and it comes back with a giant E, showing you that your hard work pays off. Personally, I love the feeling of achieving something to the highest level, and it motivates me to do my best every time. The successful feeling at the end is the reason why we continue to take opportunities and embark on new journeys. There are many skills and values that you pick up along the way that can be helpful for the future. What can you learn from your journey? As always, there are bad parts to every journey. There are curveballs that hit you right when you weren't expecting it. You may be feeling overwhelmed with the task in front of you, or you've hit a major setback. These are the times that can really get you down, but when it comes to these bad moments, it's all about perspective. I know one of the worst parts of any journey is failure. You've lost the game, you messed up your test, and ultimately, you've failed. You may see failure as a roadblock, but I see failure as a lesson. You have to think, I found a way that doesn't work, now I need to find one that does. Changing your perspective can change your mindset, and suddenly the bad doesn't seem so bad after all. You can't control what life throws at you, but you can control how you deal with it. Instead of dwelling on how the bad moments are affecting you, ask yourself, what can I learn from this journey? For me, the ugly parts of a journey are where you learn and develop the values and morals that you live by. It's the hard work you put in behind the scenes that no one ever notices, the 6 a.m. trainings, the after-school tutorials. It's the way you treat those around you, regardless of their background. It's the perseverance to trial again and again for that team and never make a cut. It's the ability to adapt and change to the opportunities that are presented to you. While these could be the times that you might want to give up, it's in these ugly moments that we learn the most important lessons. These are the times that define you and ultimately help you grow the most. I've learned how to be resilient from living in 11 different houses and going to 6 different schools in my life. At first, it was scary, but I learned to adapt to the change and accept the new opportunities in front of me. I've learned similar lessons of determination, kindness, and respect through experiences, and these have all helped me develop my values and outlook on life. The ugly moments aren't there to break you, they are there to make you stronger and help you learn in different ways. What can you learn from your journey? There are good parts, ugly parts, there are good parts, bad parts, and ugly parts to every journey. But by changing your perspective, you can find the good in the bad and learn valuable lessons from the ugly. You can't hold yourself back from the opportunities because of the what ifs. Instead, embrace the things that you will learn every step of the way. The challenge may scare you, but every journey starts with the first step. So I ask you, what can you learn from your journey? Thank you.
Thank you, Anya. Now call Alison home.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alison Hoon. I grew up on the Hauraki Plains with my parents and my 2 sisters while attending local schools. As you're probably aware, our topic for our speeches is the good, the bad, and the ugly. I struggled with thinking what to write for this speech because I was trying to find the right answer. I then realised that it's all a matter of perspectives. Everyone will see good, bad, and ugly differently. Our experiences shape our opinion. I believe that our perspectives are shaped by our childhood experiences and influences in our lives. We carry these experiences with us and use them as a guide to solve our future problems. An example that came to my mind for an ugly experience, which is currently relevant to us all, is COVID, claiming over 5.19 million people's lives, separating loved ones, and closing down businesses is just the tip of the iceberg. We have had to learn to adapt and roll with the punches thrown our way. Learning from home and using Google Meets wasn't easy, and we weren't used to it. However, we had to quickly learn to keep on top of the workload. Trying to find the schoolwork and home-time balance was difficult, as it all became very blended, and while we had to do our schoolwork, we also had to put ourselves and our well-beings first. I believe that the main stress factor with lockdowns was that we were in the dark and we didn't know when we would be able to see our family and friends again. At times, it was easy to lose hope. We had to find things that made us happy. For me, I was lucky because my family and I get on really well. While yes, we argued, moaned and complained, we were lucky to be together. There were pillows thrown, home videos watched, and plenty of laughs were shared. Because of this, we were able to get through the ugly. Here at school, we were offered so much support, whether it was listening to the workload, being able to talk to your teacher, dean or river guide, and overall, just having someone there during the time that we'd never seen before. Now we are able to look back and see the good within those times. While this is an ongoing situation that won't go away, we have learned to make the best out of the ugly. For many of us, we have had a smooth COVID lockdown. At home was our safe place. However, some had a really ugly lockdown due to built-up family tension, arguments, and so on. This is where we had to lean on our friends for support. Friendships are a large part of school. Having good mates you can rely on makes the experience 10 times better. And some of the friendships you have made, you will continue to cherish as you navigate your way through being an adult. As we all know, there are ups and downs with friendships. There can be drama made from almost any comment, whether someone has misheard or misinterpreted what you have said. It can be twisted and can upset people. During COVID, I saw friendships either slowly disappear or become stronger. This was mainly because of a shift in priorities. You may have only talked to 3 of your friends rather than all of them, and this could have been due to schoolwork and overall just being closer with them. The most noticeable thing to me was coming back into school. Everyone was anxious and on edge. We hadn't seen people outside of our family for a very long time. We went so long without seeing each other that being back in our usual routine was daunting to many of us. Luckily, we were provided with the support as required to get through the stress and the anxiety surrounding being at school again. Seeing friends and allowing relationships to develop again resulted in good experiences for all involved. We were able to catch up, share a laugh, and overall be surrounded by our people again. I believe that throughout life there is going to be many good, bads, and uglies, but if we focus on the good while acknowledging the bad and the ugly, we will live a more positive life. I know it is easy to see the ugly and to focus on all the bad things in your life. However, if you find one good thing a day to focus on, it could make a large difference. Have a glass half full attitude. Thank you.
Thank you, Alison. I'd now like to call Molly Maiden.
Tēnā koutou katoa. I am honoured to be considered for the headgirl position at Hauraki Plains College, especially considering the incredible calibre of my friends who have spoken before me today. To introduce myself to those of you who may not know me, I'm Molly. I come from a dairy farming whānau, so let's just say I'm not afraid of those early mornings. I am proudly part Māori and have an older sister and 2 loving parents. I enjoy all the competitive sports I'm involved in and am lucky enough to have the opportunity to be part of these teams, building friendships and keeping myself active. My 3 core values are hard work, kindness, and gratitude. I believe that your life is as good as your mindset. You think, ugh, I hate school. Then you'll go on to hate school. You think, I wish I had a TV in my room, then maybe I'd be happy. You won't be happy until you get a TV in your room. You'll simply never have enough. So just be grateful for what you have, for of course we could always have more and more and more, but we could also always have less. We woke up today. Let's start by being grateful for that. For some weren't as lucky. Life is as good, bad, or as ugly as your mindset. As we all know, 2021 has been another year dominated by COVID-19, with all its restrictions and upheavals. So I would like to send my thoughts out to those of you who have struggled during this time of uncertainty. I hope that 2022 is a more fulfilling year for us all as we embark on some form of normality. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Te pai, te kino, me te anuanu. The greatest journeys in life begin with the smallest steps. My journey began with a small, nervous Year 9 step through the gates of an extraordinary school, Hauraki Plains College. Through these memorable self-discovering years, there have been countless good, bad, and ugly times in my life, and I'm sure we have all had our fair share of these. I had to think about this topic. What is the good, the bad, and the ugly? Well, this to me comes in many forms, and we all have a different perspective depending on our positions in life. On different scales, some examples would be, for me, a bad time could look like getting a merit instead of the excellence grade that I want. However, for my great-grandfather, it was seeing the bad and ugly right in front of his eyes as he fought in the trenches of World War II. And just to touch on that, even before his passing, he struggled to talk about all the bad and ugly times that he faced. Rather, his experiences taught him to adjust his mindset to see the good, for that was most important. Even in bad and ugly times, there is always some good. Now, I know this is easier said than done, especially as a teenager. But there are always lessons to be learned for us to grow into our best selves with the knowledge and guidance from the hardworking staff and principal here at Hauraki. We as students are privileged to have. This college prides itself on having 3 powerful core values: rangatiratanga, manakitanga, and kaitiakitanga. I am proud that I have stood by these values in my past 4 years, and I will continue to honour these, advocating and representing them through the head girl position. I aspire to build off the legacy of head students before through my cultural inclusiveness, determination, and my happy, approachable spirit. To me, this position does not mean being better than anyone else, nor does it mean taking all the glory. In fact, it's being part of the team, our team, working, motivating, and developing together through all the good, the bad, and the ugly to our journeys to success, and what that might look like for every individual in this room. I feel so blessed to stand before you all today and would be in awe of the opportunity to continue to do so in 2022. Life is as good, bad, or as ugly as your mindset. Let your mindset positively change your life. Ngā mihi nui, thank you so much.
Thank you, Molly. I'd just like to say, awesome audience, Year 10. Appreciated having you for the last 2 weeks sitting here and observing and seeing what a leadership role could be you when you get to Year 12 and 13. That is the end of our speeches for today and for the rest of the year. Year 10, can you please stand? Oh, hold on one moment. Right. You got notices? Yeah. Would you like to go that way and get towards my